What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA live stream presented by Superdraft. Kyle and David here breaking down Friday's slate. We got 11 games. We're doing something a little bit different today. We're going to go position by position rather than game by game, so we can kind of break it down a little bit better that way. So hopefully you guys are cool with that. We're going to get right into it. David, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, man. Yeah, big slate. Love it. I told the guys in Discord, who I love, great day in Discord yesterday. Really appreciate everything happened there. But just hammer the plays. I want to try and make some money, hammer some good plays, skip all the bullshit, and let's get to it.
Yeah, sounds good. It sounds like you said you're playing mostly FanDuel today.
Yeah, I've been focused on FanDuel, trying to take down another one of these qualifiers, get a couple of seats to New Orleans. Are you? I've been meaning to ask you, are you trying to get there or no? Because I don't know if I should bring a guest. I'm going to have some FTN people with me.
I haven't really been trying to qualify much. I kind of I think last year I had just a run rush, just trying really hard to get there. I didn't. So if you try as hard as I was trying, where you're maxing all the contests for those qualifiers every day and you don't get there, it's really brutal. So yeah. I'm stepping back on that just a little bit. I'll probably be back next year, hopefully, when things are kind of full go again. But a lot of craziness going on here too for me. So with the whole wedding planning and stuff, so I couldn't even imagine taking a trip right now. So I mean, I would take it if I hit it, but hey, it's not something I'm playing for. But hopefully you hit it for us here, take it down for the FTN fam. But I'll let you focus on the FanDuel plays when we go position by position, and I'll focus mainly on DraftKings. Obviously, we'll bounce back and forth between the two sites, so I'm sure we'll have takes either way. But let's talk about point guard first. Who's standing out to you at point guard? We'll kind of break it into tiers, right? We'll go top guys, mid-tier, and value guys. I guess you can start with point guard and your guys up at the top.
Okay, yeah, I'm like reviewing the news. Reviewing the news that's coming out just now. Clint Capella's going to play. He's going to have limited minutes. Gorgie Dang going to play. Doesn't matter. Skip all the centers, power forwards for Atlanta Hawks. So as far as point guard goes, so the top guys that I'm looking at as far as spin-ups go, and it's a bit dependent on the Warriors news. We know Klay Thompson isn't going to play. We saw Andrew Wiggins got downgraded, which probably means he doesn't play, which makes Steph Curry on FanDuel at the price underpriced. Like, he's $9,800. He's got the matchup doesn't get better against Houston. They're coming off an embarrassing win on TNT last night where they lost to the Pacers. Steph Curry, the whole offense is going to run through him. Like, he's going to get 50 points tonight. He's only $9,800, especially with Wiggins and Klay out, and Draymond Green, not to mention. So, like, the only way to Steph Curry not breaking the slate, if Wiggins is out, is if Jordan Poole, who I assume gets bumped into the starting lineup, just like absolutely goes nuts. So I have like 60% Steph Curry, like 20% Poole or something. Great matchup against Houston, dependent on Wiggins. But if Wiggins is out, I love Steph Curry, underpriced. The next high-priced guy that I'm looking at is going to be Ja Morant. You got all the same injuries going on with Memphis that you had the last game. Ja Morant put on a show. He's going up against Denver, bad against the point guard. Does like the altitude stuff matter? It doesn't matter to me. Does it matter to you? I'm just curious in Denver.
No.
He doesn't.
Maybe a little. I don't know. I don't think so, though.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. Still going to get a ton of usage going through him. Denver's really not that great of a team right now. Memphis can keep it close. Memphis has been winning. Memphis maybe wins this game. Ja Morant, Steph Curry, those are my top two. If I have to choose one, it's going to be Steph Curry, given that Wiggins is out. But if Wiggins is in, it's going to be Ja Morant. So the other guys around there you can consider, but I'm not as heavy on, would be like Kyrie Irving or Fred VanVleet if Trent's out. Because he's just going to get 40 minutes. But I like Harden more than Irving, which is leading me to more Curry and more Ja Morant. So I feel just as confident about those two as I did Trae Young last slate.
Yeah, I feel that way about Ja Morant as well. Like, he'd be my guy above 9K that I like the most. I have him projecting as one of the better point per dollar point guards today, and he's over 9K. So obviously on DraftKings, he's one of my top plays of the night. So I really like Ja Morant. He gets a very solid usage bump to, I believe, over 37% with Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bane off the floor this season. So nice boost there. Makes a ton of sense there. And then obviously Memphis playing at a fast pace, so that should be good for him. So I like Ja a ton. Love the spot for him. Correlates really well with Jokic, who was projecting for some pretty low ownership today, which I do like. I like your call on Curry. I think that makes a ton of sense. The only issue I have with Curry is I am a bit worried about a potential blowout here. And again, like I'm the guy who's furthest from always trying to predict
Sure.
blowouts. But when Curry has busted lately, it's because of blowouts. Like that is the thing that holds him back. And we talked about this 2 days ago. I think it was 2 days ago against, or whenever they played the Pistons. It's like if he doesn't get 32 to 34 minutes, he doesn't really have a shot at getting there. He's never gonna post like a 2 fantasy point minute. Like we can see Jokic, we can see Giannis, we can see those guys doing that, but
Yeah.
I don't think Steph has that ability, right? In 26 minutes to go out and still get 50 plus points, even in a game that goes bad for him, right? So you need that. You need those minutes from him. So that's something that I do like to think about a little bit more with Steph. But if we see no Andrew Wiggins already, Clay is out, no Draymond, there's a chance that this game could stay or has a higher chance to stay close, right? And now you're also in the world where if this game does become a crazy blowout, other than like him and maybe Jordan Poole, who else is really going to score a ton that influences a blowout, right? So I do like the Curry call. I do like James Harden a bit more than Curry tonight, but I still like Curry. I think he's totally fine. The interesting thing is Curry, Harden, and Trae Young all projecting for 5% or less ownership on DraftKings. So that's pretty interesting. John Morant's going to be a little bit more popular at 25%. Kyle Kuzma just got ruled out, so we'll talk about that when we get to those positions and whatnot, but that's some news. So it sounds like your top two are Steph and John Morant. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And one thing to note on FanDuel, Steph Curry is much cheaper than he is on DraftKings, 9.8 on FanDuel, 11.1 on DraftKings. So that is a big difference
Probably
as well.
too expensive on DraftKings. Like just to clarify, like Steph Curry on FanDuel 9.8 is a better play.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree with that 100%. Like I have Steph Curry for right around 5x his salary on FanDuel, but he's at about 4.5 on DraftKings. So I do like him a lot more
Yep.
over on FanDuel. So my top two in this top range would be John Morant and James Harden. And then third would probably be Kyrie for me. Do you have any interest in either of those Nets guys?
I mean, I love James Harden. I just think he's got I don't even want to say like an easier path or anything, but if I'm looking at positionality, there's other point guards that I prefer over Kyrie, those two spin-ups we just talked about, and then James Harden, who seems underpriced on FanDuel, again, looking over there at 10.5. That's too cheap for James Harden. He's going to drop like 55 against San Antonio tonight. Hopefully San Antonio can keep it close, but maybe they can because it's at home and hopefully they can keep it close, whatever. Irving, I think he's underpriced 289, but if I have to choose one raw scoring, it's going to be James Harden, which is an approach I think you can take tonight with the slate because you've got guys that are like dumb underpriced again on the Utah side. You've got Memphis values still. So you might as well just pay up for who you think is going to score more points, and that's going to be James Harden for me at shooting guard.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Heading over to shooting guard again, we do have the dual positions up. Go ahead. Sorry, we have to break down
let's
the
do
value.
like if there's any value or anything.
Yeah, sorry about that. So let's talk the guys in the mid tier. So we'll say from like 6K to like, just under 9K. So the 6 to 8K range. Anybody sticking out here for you?
Look, the only other guy I'm looking at in the mid range, and then like we have the cheaper guys that I'll rattle off in a second. I'm taking a shot on Russell Westbrook. Like I know, look, he's been bad. He's gotten worse. I was defending him a lot at the beginning of the season, but he has clearly gotten bad. That's the thing about if you say Westbrook shit for like 4 years, you'll eventually be right, which wasn't me, but I kind of missed the boat. That's what people have done. He's $7,200 on FanDuel. He got benched last game because he was not playing well. I'm going to take one shot out of 5 on Russell Westbrook to come out after getting benched back in the starting lineup and just do Russell Westbrook things. I've got him for over 40 fantasy points tonight, which is plenty enough for his price over on FanDuel. So I'm taking a shot there. And yeah, it's pretty much the matchup's great for him. And it's pretty much like a revenge against himself for getting benched. And that's what I'm doing. So if you want to do it, do that. If you think he sucks, then don't play him. The guys down at the bottom that I'm looking at, you have to look at Jordan Clarkson. You have to look at Mike Conley. They're priced $100 different on FanDuel. You're still not going to have Donovan Mitchell. Rudy Gobert is questionable. Derek Favors is probable, which to me might signal that Rudy Gobert is out. I don't know. But one of those two, Clarkson or Conley, should probably be in every one of your lineups. If the game's close, Conley's probably going to be a better play, even though Clarkson might close it out. If the game's getting away from him, Clarkson's still going to get his 30 minutes, although he only got 29 against Detroit last time. They're both underpriced with no Donovan Mitchell. Clarkson's my preference there. The last few names that I'll rattle off are potentially Jordan Poole if Wiggins is out. Potentially. Don't love it. That's a very low ownership play. Not one of my favorites. Then you've got Monty Morris, who's 4,400, played like 40 minutes, almost got a triple-double last game. It was an overtime game, but that's – and I don't expect him to get anywhere close to what he did the last game. But 4,400 for a starting point guard going up against Memphis, that's too cheap for Monty Morris. So I feel pretty comfortable there. And the last one you consider is Gabe Vincent. He's 5K going up against Atlanta. If he gets to 30, that's only 6X. It's just okay, but it's enough to pay off the price tag. Point guard preferences: Curry, Morant, Westbrook, Clarkson.
Okay, I like that call. Are you at all worried about Westbrook's minutes? Do you think he's going to go back to normal?
I think if he plays good, then he's going to get normal minutes. So I'm expecting. Yeah. I mean, it's Russell Westbrook. Like, this guy is not just going to like show up and be like, "Well, guess I suck now. Like, I guess I'm just going to get benched every third quarter." He's going to do his damn best to not get benched for a second game in a row. And it's a good match. It's Russell Westbrook at 7 too. Like, I have to play that, and especially when I think people are off of him.
Yeah, super cheap on FanDuel. He's 9K, I believe, on DraftKings. So that's a cross off for me. But I don't mind taking the shot. I mean, that's where Cole Anthony's been priced the last 2 months over on FanDuel. So I'm cool with that price. But on FanDuel only. But the guy that I wanted to pull up in the mid range is LaMelo Ball. I've been on LaMelo a ton. He's 8.6 tonight on DraftKings. Big fan of him. Great matchup against the Thunder. He's 8,100 on FanDuel. He played 32 minutes 2 nights ago, last game. So I'm expecting more time than that on the floor for him, but 32 minutes and he posted a triple-double. So we know he has that kind of upside. Obviously a very good matchup here against the Thunder, who are 19th in the defensive efficiency. And this game has a 223 total, which is not the highest, but I think that it could be a spot where both teams are in the top 15 in pace this season. So could be, good opportunity for LaMelo Ball to be in a bit higher pace situation. So LaMelo's probably my favorite mid-range point guard. Fred VanVleet's prices finally came down on DraftKings. He's 8,500. Don't mind going there. I would much rather play LaMelo, but he's the guy that I wanted to point out. Cole Anthony is back into a price range where it's more reasonable, under 7K on both sites now, 6,500 on FanDuel, 67 on DraftKings. He will have some ownership, but he's a guy that I have some interest in. And if you're not playing Cole Anthony, I actually think it makes sense to have some interest in Jalen Suggs as a value option as well, especially on DraftKings where he's under 5K. You mentioned Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson. I like both of those guys. Probably not playing them both in the same lineup. I think you can get away with just looking for just one of those guys. I do prefer Clarkson. I just think his ceiling is higher. And Clarkson, he played 15 first half minutes last game, and I believe he finished with 29. So I think that there maybe is some ceiling for a few more minutes here. But either way, he's a very good permanent producer. So he's the guy that I'm looking at. But let's talk some values here. I already mentioned Jalen Suggs, so I'll kind of just keep rolling with a couple of my favorite value plays. It's Jalen Suggs and Gabe Vincent for me primarily. 4,800, they both are on DraftKings. So those are the two guys that I'm typically looking at when looking for a value guard, but there are a couple of other cheaper guys. Gary Payton, I think, makes some sense. He's 3,600 on FanDuel, 42 on DraftKings. He makes some sense as well, especially if Wiggins is out. No Klay Thompson, potentially no Andrew Wiggins. That could lead to some more minutes here for Payton. Wouldn't even be surprised if he starts if Wiggins is out. So again, that's something that we'll have to monitor, but he's someone I do have my eye on. And the last guy I'll mention is D'Anthony Melton. Did not go well for us last time out with Melton, who was mega chalk. He will now be sub 5% owned after being 75% owned in some contests just 2 days ago. I know he only played 18 minutes, but it didn't go great for him. If he does, however, play, the expected minutes that we thought he would get last game, I know Conchar started, but I think this is a great spot to go back to Melton at low ownership.
I was answering some questions in Discord. What do you need me to do?
Let's move on to shooting guard. Again, some of these guys are going to kind of carry over. So we'll try to only touch on guys that weren't at the previous position. But let's talk some shooting guards up at the top. Who are you looking at in the terms of the spend ups at shooting guard?
I mentioned James Harden. I think he scores the most points, although I think Jimmy Butler could get close. So he would be my preferred spend up. Is Jimmy Butler small forward over on DraftKings?
Yes, he's small forward only.
Only? Okay. So you can play him at shooting guard over on FanDuel. He's 8,800 over on FanDuel going up against Atlanta, whose defense has been terrible lately. Given they do have Clint Capella back for limited minutes, whatever that means. I think last time they said he was going to get limited minutes, he got like 28 minutes. But going up against Atlanta, great matchup, 8,800, a game after he got thrown out just like ridiculously. Like he should not have been thrown out of that game. At least then he probably would have earned himself a good reason to after fact. He got teed up twice in 10 seconds. He's going to destroy Atlanta. I know that Bam is back, but they're still missing Lowry. They're missing Hero, who is a little overrated, but they're missing Hero. It's going to be all Jimmy Butler and Bam. 8,800. There's no way he doesn't crush that price unless he gets kicked out, which he's not going to. He's going to come out hot. He's going to drop 20 points in the first quarter. That's my call. 20 points first quarter, Jimmy Butler, 8,800. You got to have a ton of them. I have 80%. The rest of the shooting guards I'm looking at, look, you can play Clarkson there. We already talked about how much I like Clarkson. Let me pull up my percentages right here. I think CJ. All right. So mid-range, kind of mid-range. DeMar DeRozan, CJ McCollum, I think are both pretty decent plays. DeRozan should get his 44, 46 points going up against Milwaukee in a game that hopefully stays close. I know Chicago's still missing two of their stars, but they still have Vooch and they still have DeRozan, and they still could potentially keep it close. So DeRozan's good. McCollum, he still has the no Lillard bump. His price is going down a little bit. It's a tougher matchup against Boston, but Marcus Smart isn't out. That might help him a little bit. So I think CJ McCollum is a decent play. I have like 1 out of 5 of him. 1 out of 5 DeRozan, 1 out of 5 McCollum. The guys down at the like cheap range you're looking at, and I don't know if they're shooting guard eligible on DraftKings. I'm just looking at FanDuel stuff. We mentioned Jordan Poole might be okay if Wiggins is out. But John Conchar and Joe Ingles, they're both shooting guard eligible over on FanDuel. Joe Ingles, I have 100% of. He's $3,900. It's super dumb. You have to play a ton of Joe Ingles. He's going to beat that price tag. He usually does when you don't have Donovan Mitchell in and he slides up to the starting lineup, which he's going to do again. I haven't looked at splits if Rudy Gobert's out, but I can't imagine that it gets worse for Joe Ingles. Way too cheap. Love Joe Ingles. And then Conchar, I think I have like 60% of him just because of his price. He's shown upside when he gets like 40 minutes to get over 35 points. He didn't do it last game, but it is a thing that he is capable of doing in a matchup that I like against the Denver Nuggets. So 4,200 on FanDuel. I think he'll be over-owned, quite frankly, but I still think his price is too cheap, and I think he keeps your head above water. So shooting guard on FanDuel, Harden number 1. But you know what? I'll probably go Butler number 1 because of price. I love Jimmy Butler. Harden number 2. Mid-range is DeRozan and McCollum. Probably lock in Clarkson. Joe Ingles is a lock. And then Conchar is fine to fit into your teams.
Yeah, so real quick before I talk my guys, what are your thoughts on Melton, Conchar versus Melton? Do you have any interest in attacking that leverage? Because I know you mentioned that Conchar might be over-owned. So like if Conchar does fail, it probably helps Melton. So do you have any interest in going Melton, who again was 75% owned in some contest 2 days ago and now will probably be sub 5?
I'm not going to do it. And it's a good ownership leverage play. You're indicating that it is, because it certainly is. But I was on the show with you last time when or Zach. I sat there and talked shit about Melton for 3 minutes. And then at the end of it, I was like, you know what? He's a good play. I did.
You were with me, yeah. I probably talked you into him. Sorry.
Well, no, it made sense. It makes sense with all the bodies that they're missing, but there's no guarantee of minutes there. This is like an 11 or whatever 13 game slate. I don't know. I can't play a guy that's not guaranteed 20 minutes. I can't do it. So I'm not playing Melton. If he goes off this game, then so be it. But he's going to be 5% owned, and I think I can catch him only at 5% owned Melton. But he's not going to. Is the thing. He's a bad play.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I just think the fact that, I mean, it's the same logic as last time. He just didn't get the minutes. So like if you're doing 150 lineups, I don't mind, getting 7 or 8% and hoping that he is the leverage off of Conchar. I would probably recommend to make a rule in the optimizer that breaks it down between one or two of those guys. Danilo Gallinari has been ruled out. So that I guess changes a few things at the shooting guard small forward position, maybe a few, probably not more minutes for Kevin Huerter, but probably stabilizes his minutes a bit. Maybe you feel a little bit better about DeAndre Hunter now, who we'll talk about at the small forward position. But for me, real quick at shooting guard, James Harden's not shooting guard eligible on DraftKings, but Kyrie Irving is, so I don't mind getting to Irving. LaMelo Ball still has shooting guard eligibility on DraftKings, so he's probably my favorite shooting guard of the day there in terms of the top, the spend up options. I like him a ton today, and the fact that you can play him at shooting guard there really helps. After that, though, I don't really love a lot of the spend ups. Like Van Vliet has a ceiling, but I don't know if he's necessarily a priority. If Gary Trent's out, that might help a little bit. But for me, as of right now, LaMelo is really the main priority up top. But I think Kyrie and Van Vliet are good secondary options to get in there. In terms of some of the value guys, I like Conchar. I do agree with you. I do think he will be a little bit overowned, but I mean Suggs, Ingles, I think all three of those guys will have ownership. I think Conchar will have the least of those three. So Conchar, you can say he's probably going to be in there for 20 plus minutes fairly safely. You can probably even expect 30 out of him, especially if he's starting again, which I expect him to be. So Conchar, Suggs, Ingles, I like all of those guys. I also like Will Barton if you're not using, especially if you're not using Jokic, but even pairing them up, I don't mind. Good matchup here for the Nuggets. Memphis' defense has been much improved. Early on in the season, we were talking about how they were a bottom 10 defense and also top 10 in pace. Their defense efficiency rate has gone up a lot. They're actually top 10 now in defensive efficiency, but they're still playing very fast. So this is a nice pace up spot here for Denver, who's 21st in pace. So that should be good for a guy like Will Barton and added more possession. So more possessions can never really hurt, right? So I like Barton a pretty good amount, especially if you aren't using Jokic there. But the Miami Heat guys, I don't believe Gabe Vincent has. Yeah, Gabe Vincent's point guard only, but you have Max Struss there as well. I have him for about 28, 29 minutes, so I like him there. And then Clarkson shooting guard eligible. So those are the main shooting guards that I like there. But let's move on to small forwards here. We just got news that Gallinari is going to be out. So we'll talk about the top end guys and we'll get to the value guys if that does anything for you. If you don't really care, if it doesn't change any of your top plays or anything, we're totally fine with just ignoring that news. I had him for about 24 minutes before. I think it helps someone like DeAndre Hunter, but I don't think it's massive news. So let's talk about the top end guys. We have LeBron, Tatum, Jimmy Butler, over 9K on DraftKings. Any of those? I know you like Butler. Anybody else that you want to mention here over at the small forward position?
Mentioned the spend ups Butler. I mean, DeAndre Hunter. Do you have a price for him on DraftKings? I hear they want me
He
to
is
DraftKings
4,800.
Okay,
So he's a pretty good price over there.
Yeah, he's going to get 30. So, I mean, the offense is for the Hawks is going to be. So you have Gallo out, Capella limited,
Bogdanovich out.
Boggy out. It's going to be Trey, Herter, and Hunter getting the most. Getting the most minutes. I would say, yeah. That's going to be right. So, or Collins too.
Collins, yeah.
I think Hunter's underpriced. I think he's safe. I don't think he has an exceptionally high ceiling, but I think he's pretty safe. Wouldn't mind playing him at all. Will Barton, you mentioned. So Otto Porter against Houston is a little bit interesting to me if you have Wiggins out. He didn't play last game, and we're getting a lot of come bucket questions with Kuminga. But I think Porter is going to be pretty low owned, especially if Wiggins is out, and he could get plenty of run. Do you think he gets 30 minutes if Wiggins is out?
Who's that?
Do you think Otto Porter starts, and do you think he gets 30 minutes if Wiggins is out?
I don't know if he starts. He probably starts. Either him or Peyton probably start, or maybe Lee. But the thing about Kerr, man, is he can do so many things, and he never hesitates to just do different things every single time. So it's tough to even reference like the last time we saw Wiggins out. I would say yes, he probably starts. No, he probably does not hit 30 minutes.
I think against Houston, if he can get 28 minutes, if he starts, it's a pretty good play for his price. So I think that's something you got to keep an eye on. But Otto Porter is someone I've got my eye on, and it's kind of the same people I was talking about at shooting guard. Like I don't have a very deep player pool today. It's Conchar, it's Ingles, it's Boggy. I mean, it's really the same guys, multi-position eligibility. So those are the guys I'm playing. I don't really have anyone else.
Yeah, I also kind of have the same feeling where it's kind of a spot, a position where I want to save a little bit. You do have Jimmy Butler up at the top, who I think is totally fine. If you got to LeBron, I think it's fine. I definitely prefer Giannis and Jokic on this slate over LeBron. But I mean, it's still LeBron. He's been playing pretty well as of late, so I don't mind that. But in terms of the guys who I'm kind of prioritizing at the small forward position, it's Conchar, it's Ingles. I really like DeAndre Hunter now. I think he gets a nice boost here. And Max Struss, I still like a ton at the small forward position. So I'm definitely looking to save a bit more. I think Denny Avdia gets a nice boost with no Kyle Kuzma, and he's 3,600 on DraftKings. So
Yeah.
he's in play as a value option. I don't have him getting massive minutes, but always been a pretty solid per minute guy. So he's another one that I'm looking at there. But mainly a spot where I am looking to save some salary. And then even Kessler Edwards, who's been playing pretty consistent minutes with KD out, he'll probably start again and continue to get those that time there, 4,200. So a lot of guys in that 4K range, right around there, like that 4 to 5K range is kind of where I'm targeting on DraftKings, and Hunter's now entering that mix with Gallinari out. But anybody else you want to touch on at small forward?
No, those are all my guys, and I agree with the ones that you're saying as well. But I think there's not like a lot of people that are standing out tonight. So
yeah. All right, let's move on to power forward. I'll let you talk about the power forwards. I'm going to update the projections with the Gallinari news, but you can go ahead.
okay, so let me pull up my full player pool here. I find myself not spending up a lot at this position, so the highest price guy that I have right now is Jaren Jackson Jr. And his price went up, which I don't love, but it's earned, right? So he can go out and drop 40 points easy, and no one's going to bat an eye about it. Going up against Denver, do I love that Jokic is going to be there sucking up rebounds? No, I don't. But if Jaren Jackson Jr. stays out of foul trouble, which he's been pretty good about lately, I mean, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his last 7 games, he's exceeded value. Price has gone up a little bit, but 1, 2, 3, 4 of those last 7 games, he's gone over 40 points, which seems pretty safe to me. His minutes were up to 31 minutes, which is the most minutes he's seen in like the past, like he's seen it like once or twice in the past month. And each time that he's got over 30 minutes, he's got over 43 fantasy points. So I think he does that again tonight. I think he's got a safe floor. I hope he stays out of foul trouble. And Jaren Jackson Jr., a guy I like a lot. Other power forwards that I like Robert Williams, I'm going to take a shot on him, was playing very well before having to take 2 personal days for the birth of his son. 7,200, but going up against Portland, who's got a terrible defense. You hope that Boston doesn't run away with this, but they haven't really been blowing people out. I think we could see a nice Robert Williams game at low ownership price, a little high. I can get behind that. I agree. Horford's in. I understand that can take away from Robert Williams, or at least I understand that it did at the beginning of the season, which it hasn't so much if you look at the past 2 weeks. Up games, down games, he's gone over 40 and over 50% of his games the last 10 games. So I like him fine. I think he'll be lower owned. Baby narrative if you like it. The other guys that I'm looking at here, I mentioned Otto Porter. He's down low. I think Bobby Portis is a good play. Going up against Chicago, they're down a couple of their studs. He's only $6,300. Bobby Portis fucking hates Chicago. He always goes off against Chicago like 80% of the time. I wish it was in Chicago. It's not. $6,300 for Bobby Portis, I think, is too cheap. I got 2 more guys. Feel like I'm rattling off a lot here. Aaron Gordon's probably too cheap. 6,200 up going up against Memphis, although they're good against bigs. Understandable. Kind of low on him. I'd rather have Jokic, but Aaron Gordon's been playing well. Along with Morris and Barton, really, for Denver. The offenses look good. And then Bogdanovich going up against Detroit, Utah, especially if Gobert's out. Not even especially. You still have Donovan Mitchell out. He's only 5,500. He's too cheap. You want to get a couple Utah guys in your lineup again. The prices didn't adjust. It's the same situation, maybe even better with no Rudy Gobert, with Donovan Mitchell out, 2 of the starters potentially. I think Bogdanovich is too cheap. Is he going to get 40? No. Is he going to exceed value, which is all you're looking for on tonight's slate? Yes. So those are my guys. If you have questions, sorry, I'm rattling through this. You probably need a pen and paper, but Jaren Jackson Jr., Robert Williams, Bobby Portis, Aaron Gordon, Bogdanovich are my favorite ones.
Yeah, you mentioned Jackson. I like Jackson a pretty good amount here. He's one of my favorites as well. He gets a really nice boost, especially in his permanent production. And I was obviously there's a lot of guys out right now. There's Bane, there's Brooks, Anderson, Tyus Jones. All these guys are out. So if people might jump to the conclusion and say, okay, let's see what their numbers are when all of these guys are out, and then you'll get a super small sample. So I kind of was perusing through different combinations of how he was with Bane and Brooks out, and Bane and Tyus Jones out, and all three guys or three of the four and stuff like that. I was looking at kind of all of them, and pretty much in all the scenarios, he was over 1.3 fantasy point per minute. That's a really nice uptick there from Jaren Jackson, who's also getting a nice usage bump, well over 30% there also. So nice boost there for Jaren Jackson Jr., who I like a ton. You mentioned the minutes, especially last game where he's gotten a nice increase there. I'm still just projecting him for 30 minutes, and even in just a 30-minute projection, he's projecting well over 5x his salary. So in a spot where he maybe goes out and gets even more time, obviously he has the upside to smash here. And on DraftKings, that price is only 6.3. You mentioned liking him on FanDuel at 7.8. He's 6,300 on DraftKings, and I still don't have him at not even a 20% projected ownership. So I think Jackson is one of the stronger plays of the day on DraftKings at power forward. I like him a ton. A couple of other guys that I like, you can play Kessler Edwards and Denny Avdia, who I mentioned at the small forward position. You can play both of those guys at power forward. But outside of that, I don't necessarily love the position. I do like Giannis a pretty good amount up top. I do prefer Jokic if I'm only deciding on one of those guys. But I also like DeMar DeRozan, another guy who's in a very good spot that I think the ownership's just not high enough on. It's very similar to last game or 2 days ago when me and you were covering the show, and no Lonzo Ball, no Zach LaVine. His usage is up to 38 or 39% with those two off the floor this season. And that's in a pretty good sample. He's right around 1.3 fantasy point per minute. Milwaukee, they're good defensively, but they play fast. So it's a nice pace up spot here for Chicago. So I think DeMar DeRozan is going pretty overlooked. Didn't really have a ton of peripheral usage or peripheral production last time out, but he still scored, I believe it was either 20 or 30 actual points. He's only 8,400 on FanDuel. That is way too cheap over there. I think he will be pretty chalky, but at sub 10% at 9-1 on DraftKings, like him a lot. So those are my top power forwards of the day. Let's move on to centers here, unless there's something else that you want to cover at power forward. But if not, you can take away with centers.
All right, so I think
Seth Curry ruled out. Sorry. Seth Curry ruled out. Gary Trent will play.
Seth Curry.
Yes, Seth.
All right.
The brother, the younger, or is he? Yeah, the younger brother.
The worst one.
Yeah.
That's
just objective. Yeah.
Of all time. Like, Seth Curry's fine. All right, so Jokic is obviously going to be the highest scoring center, you would have to assume. If you can spin up for Jokic, really no reason to not do that. I have, I believe, 2 out of 5 lineups with Jokic. It might be 1 out of 5 because there's a lot of good center value, and it's hard to get over that. And I like some of the point guard spin ups really just as much as I like Jokic, if I'm being honest. So Jokic, I haven't projected the highest. Obviously, you fit him in, you're probably going to be good to go. But, I mean, he's not going to go out and drop 87 again in an overtime game. But could he go out and drop 67 like he did the game before that? Yeah, he could. It's Jokic. He's good. He's the MVP right now. Jaren Jackson Jr., we just talked about, center eligible. Robert Williams, I talked about, center eligible. Bobby Portis, I talked about, center eligible. Someone that's popping up a lot today is Mo Bamba. Do we know if Wendell Carter Jr. has been ruled in yet?
I believe he's been ruled in on a minutes limit, and I believe he's starting.
Okay. If he's on a minutes limit, that's interesting. I mean, it's not like Bamba's going to go out there and play 40 minutes regardless. And last game, did he have like a crazy block game, or was he just shooting the roof off? What was going on with him?
He scored 32 points, 32 actual points.
Yeah. So career high. That's right. So, 55,
sorry.
What's up?
Sorry, not to interrupt, but Carter is not starting. Bamba is going to start, but Carter coming off the bench with the minutes.
Okay. Okay, so pretty much the same role I would say for Bamba going up against the Lakers. 5,500. It's probably too cheap for Mo Bamba. So you get some Mo Bamba. I don't have a problem with that. What do you think about Mo Bamba tonight?
I like him. I think he's fine. He's low owned, but I mean, I like Jokic so much today to where I'm probably prioritizing the spend up options at the center spot. But outside of that, I like Bamba. I'm a little worried about his minutes ceiling. Like I think there's a very real chance that now Bamba and Wendell Carter to split the center minutes. Not down the middle because you'll have Robin Lopez mix in for a little bit, but with Lopez being there and now with Carter being there, even if he is limited, I don't know if we see Bamba play 32 plus minutes. I think 28 to 30 is probably where he's probably going to fall into. But it's still, I don't mind taking shots on him because he's going to be low owned, and I think 26 to 28 minutes feels pretty safe, and we know that he's a really good permanent producer, and the price isn't bad on him at all.
Yeah, the price is good. They're asking about Jakob Poeltl, who I love. I think he's a little overpriced tonight, at least on FanDuel. I think he gets 35 plus points. That's just kind of what Poeltl does, but I don't have any Jakob Poeltl. One guy I want to ask you about is Kelly Olynyk. So he went out last game in 22 minutes, just went absolutely nuts. 45 fantasy points. What do you have? Usage of 38.4%, which is ridiculous. But Detroit's kind of shorthanded, and he took some of those Lyles minutes back. Stewart's not getting full run, really, no matter how the game goes. It was against Sacramento, who's absolutely terrible, but Kelly Olynyk's only 5,300. And it's not the first time we've seen Kelly Olynyk do a lot with not a lot of minutes. I mean, he's a really good point per minute producer, and he's been good with Detroit this year. He's only going to get probably about the same 20 to 24 minutes. If we're lucky, he gets 24. I think he can exceed that, though. It's not someone I love, but I do have a little bit of Kelly Olynyk. Is that a bad call? Is that chasing last game, or is that just chasing how productive he's been essentially, 60% of the season?
I mean, his numbers look really solid with Jeremy Grant off the floor. Obviously, we had a pretty long time where they were both out, but with both of them off, or with Grant off the floor and Olynyk on the floor, he does look pretty good. My main concern is the minutes. Like this Pistons team, they can run a really deep rotation, which I don't love. Like even last game, whenever they played the Warriors, we saw Sid Bay, Cade Cunningham lose out on some minutes. So that was 2 games ago for them because they played the Kings after that. But that's the issue that I have with it is just the minutes. I don't really see much of a minute ceiling. I am for 21 tonight. So like, is his ceiling like, if his ceiling's like 24, 25 minutes, does he really have a ceiling at this price? He's the same price as Mo Bamba. Like, so that's my main issue. You can play him at power forward, but we've talked about some power forwards. Like, would you rather play Kelly Olynyk for 800 less, or just play or find the money and get it to Jaren Jackson? Like on DraftKings anyway. That's how close they are in price.
Yeah.
So it's not even like he's a real value. So I think the ceiling is just capped for now.
Yeah, so you obviously figure out the $800 difference on DraftKings. Like you play Jaren Jackson Jr. on DraftKings, I would say, but on FanDuel you've got a $2,500 difference.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, my main center is Jokic. Like I do want to get it to Jokic here. But there are some value guys that you can definitely go back to. You can play Giannis at center. You can play Embiid. Like Embiid does get a nice boost here now with no Seth Curry, no Shake Milton. Like he's probably going to be relied on. Like we saw it last game, right? The first 22 points that the Sixers scored, he accounted for 20 of them. And I think that he actually counted for the first 20. So he is their offense right now. They don't have any other reliable scorers other than Tobias Harris. He's the guy there. He's going to play that role for them. So any night that he goes out and then you see him collect the 20 rebound night, the maybe some blocks, some steals, he's going to have massive fantasy performances when he does that. So I don't mind playing that and hoping that he has one of those massive secondary stat nights because that'll lead to a big night. But overall, those three guys are all fine as spend ups. I do prefer I don't know. I think Giannis and Jokic are pretty similar. But either way, this is kind of where I'm looking to spend up, right? One of those guys, if I'm not looking to build a balanced lineup. But in terms of some better value guys or mid-tier guys, I like Jackson. You can play at center. I like LaMarcus Aldridge again. I liked him last game,
Yeah,
and he did pretty well. I didn't play him enough. I probably wish I would have gotten to him more, but he played pretty well last game. 32 points, 32 minutes, 27 points, over 44 FanDuel points. So nice production there from LaMarcus Aldridge. Now he's going back to San Antonio. You're the narrative guy. They'll probably give him some kind of warm welcome, right? My thing though is the minutes feel super secure. No Millsap, no Nick Claxton. They are not giving Blake Griffin tons of minutes. Like the minutes feel really good for LaMarcus Aldridge. I think his like floor is like 27, 28 minutes, and his ceiling's probably like 32 to 33. And he's always been even this year, he's been a good per minute producer when he gets the time. So I do like Aldridge a pretty good amount. You mentioned Bobby Portis. He's center only on FanDuel, or sorry, on DraftKings. If you're not playing Giannis, I do like Portis as well. I think that's a really strong call. Bamba's in consideration for me. Precious is probably out of consideration now that Trent is in. But like I don't think he's like completely nuked. Like I think that his minutes probably take a hit, but they're still running a super thin rotation. They're not throwing 9 guys on the floor. Like they were running a 7-man rotation the last 2 or 3 games. So now they're gonna run an 8. Like he's still gonna get the time. I'm not really concerned about him getting no minutes, but I do think it is at least a decrease in his expected production there. So those are my main guys. I would say Aldridge, Jokic, Giannis, one of the spend ups, and then Jaren Jackson Jr. are my top centers of the day. But anything else for you?
I don't think so, man. I mean, it seems like we're on a lot of the same plays.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel pretty confident about it, honestly. Like, if y'all have questions, go and drop them in Discord right now. A guy we didn't talk about who I considered, who seems like he's kind of popular today, is Aaron Wiggins, starting for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's super cheap on both sites. I think I'm fading it. I think it's a Melton play like last slate. Do you have any interest in Wiggins?
He's one of those guys that projects pretty well. Let me check his projection real quick.
Because he had a good game last game. And so people are like, oh, Aaron Wiggins, like the second coming. It's not like it's the first time he's got over 30 minutes. Like it is more likely that he doesn't exceed value, I would say, today than he does. Not saying he can't, but at the ownership and for what we've seen all season, it's not like he's just going to flip a switch and go nuts every single game. Now, I hope that doesn't come back to haunt me, but I don't have any Wiggins right now. There's other guys down in that price range I'd rather spend up on at lower ownership or spend down on lower ownership.
Yeah, he feels to me like the safe minutes type value guy, but not necessarily a huge ceiling. Which you related him to Melton, and I think that you relating to him because he feels a little bit trappy.
Yeah.
But I think that Wiggins doesn't really have the ceiling that Melton had, but Melton just didn't get the minutes. I think Wiggins probably gets the minutes, but I don't know if he has a ceiling even with the minutes. On this kind of slate where scoring is probably going to be high. It's an 11 gamer with some pretty solid value. So that's my thing with Wiggins. But let's go and talk about the Sixers here. Obviously, Seth Curry ruled out. I had him for 35 minutes prior to that, so it's going to be a lot of minutes to distribute around for the Sixers team. So let's talk about Isaiah Joe and Furkan Korkmaz. Isaiah Joe's going to start. They already announced it. Any interest in him or Korkmaz, or kind of just break down how you're attacking that situation?
I'm going back and looking at Isaiah Joe right now because honestly, it's like not a guy that I've kept up with a ton. Let's see what old Isaiah Joe's been up to. What's his price?
He's min 3K on DraftKings.
Yeah, that's pretty cheap, huh? Isaiah Joe, I'm going back and looking. Let's see. I don't know if he started versus Houston when he got 25 minutes. I don't know if he started both times against Houston when he got the most minutes of the past couple weeks. Do you know if he was starting then? We need to go back and look.
I can go back and look. I'll let you talk about that. I'm going to update projections and I'll go back and look.
I don't know. So we need to know about Isaiah Joe. That seems pretty damn cheap over on DraftKings. Same time. Yeah, I'm not on it. I'm not on it. He's the 5th best offensive player in that starting lineup. He probably takes a backseat to everybody. He's taking a backseat to Maxey. He's taking a backseat to Korkmaz. He's taking a backseat to Harrison. He's taking a backseat to Joel Embiid. He's the 5th best player in that starting unit, which means that you're not going to get a ton of shots. The other people are going to take the shots. He's a bad point per minute guy. Yeah, I'm not playing it. Bad point per minute guy, like pretty bad. Definitely the worst in the starting lineup. Nope, that's trappy. That's trappy to me. You can go with Korkmaz. Korkmaz is better as far as plays go, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it. He's also a guy like you need his shot to fall. You need him to be up, be ready for the game. And I've seen him fail in this situation before. He's going to be the 4th option at offense for the 76ers behind Maxey, Harris, and Embiid. And someone pointed out Harris is in another revenge game, back-to-back revenge games against his old team. But he would be better than Isaiah Joe. So I don't really have a problem with Korkmaz. Just know if he only has 5 points going into halftime, he can get you 20 in the second half. I've seen him do it before. But yeah, I think fade Isaiah Joe. I think he's a bad play.
Yeah, so just updated the projections. Korkmaz projecting very, very well. I like him a pretty good amount. With Seth Curry and Shake Milton off the floor this season in about 250 minutes, 22% usage rate, just shy of 1 fantasy point per minute. So he's definitely a much better per minute producer between him and Joe. And he's you're good. He's the value guy that I would be targeting on this Sixers team. Again, Joe does feel like the minutes feel pretty good. Like you mentioned, Ricky did say that he did not start in those games against Houston. So shout out to Ricky for that. But like the fact that he got those minutes without starting, like the minutes do feel pretty good for him. I just don't know if I love the upside. So that's my main issue with him here. And I do think Korkmaz, like we've seen like ceilings from Korkmaz here. So he is definitely someone that I think has a ceiling. So I would definitely prefer Korkmaz. But if you guys have any questions, shoot them in the Discord. And if you guys are watching this on YouTube or Twitter and you're not in the Discord, I would highly recommend getting an FTN package so you can be in the Discord. It's very beneficial, especially for NBA. And you can see below us, promo code FTNTV to get 15% off any package. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Helps us out a ton. We have about 12 minutes until lock. So any questions, get those in there now. Cork over Conchar and Ingles. What are your thoughts on that?
No, Ingles number 1. And then you can make a argument for Cork over Conchar. But Ingles is easily number 1 for me.
I would take Cork over both.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't like going against the great one, Tenacious D Jones, but
No. That's fine. Hey, everyone knows they don't always all hit, but I mean I'm pretty confident in Joe Ingles tonight. And Korkmaz is fine. Yeah. It's great value that opened up. And I would take Cork over Conchar probably, which I might need to do some swaps on my lineups. Come to think of it, with 10 minutes left.
Yeah, for sure. All right, is Achuya out of play? I don't think he's out of play, but he does take a little bit of a bump down with
I'm not playing him. I think it's a bad play. He's not going to get like huge minutes. We've seen this when everyone's healthy. It's I'm not playing person.
P-Buck asked on Yahoo. I don't know if you know the prices on Yahoo or anything, but Curry and Royce or Brown and Otto. I prefer Curry and Royce over there.
Curry and Royce or Brown and Otto? Curry and Royce, Brown and Otto. I mean, you still need to know if Gobert and Wiggins are going to play, right? In which case, if they were both out, I would take the first one. But I don't have a problem with the second one. The first one would be lower owned, I think. I'll lean first, assuming that Gobert and Wiggins are out.
Okay, I would agree. Do the Bills win on Sunday? I say no.
I don't know. I think that's tough. I think they probably do. I don't know. Is that an Adam Pfeiffer question?
Yeah, it is. Naturally. I only said no because I'm trying to mess with Adam. Are Cole and Suggs okay together?
No.
I think they're fine. Like if you fell on it, but I would prefer to. I definitely think that their ceilings don't correlate. all that great. So I think on an 11-game slate, you can find some other guys who maybe don't have that problem. Maxey or Cole if playing Suggs and Cork. For me, that's easy. I'm taking Cole Anthony. Because either way, you're playing a guard with another guard on the same team. So I'm going to take the guy with the higher ceiling, and it's Cole Anthony.
Yep, I agree.
All right, cool. Can you dunk on someone named Brian on stream? I don't know what that question means. I'm going to skip that one.
I think his burner hit me up this morning and told me I was not classy. So all they've done is they didn't even insult anything except my business ethic, which was a really strange way to go about it.
Yeah, they should insult your choice in college football teams to root for.
Yes, I mean it'd be make more sense, but I don't know. I am wearing that today, but we did lose.
There you go.
Yeah, Georgia beat us. It's too bad.
Whatever. Georgia beat Michigan too, so we're kind of in the same circle this year. But Kroger says Bills Rams Super Bowl. That'd be interesting. But if Gobert is out, Gay versus Cork, isn't Gay out? Let me check on that, Ricky.
I don't think he was out.
No, he's not out. No, you're right. He's off the injury report. I would still prefer Cork.
What is it, Cork versus Gay?
Yeah, I would still prefer if Gobert is out. He's asking in that specific scenario.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, cool. I mean, that would be a nice bump for Gay, but Cork probably has. Cork isn't that far off in terms of permanent production at this point as Gay is. So I would still lean Cork there, but got about 8 minutes left till lock. So get those questions in, guys. We'll answer those up until we lock. Let's do a kind of a conviction play or a slate breaker, if you will. We do the slate breakers for all of the football slates. Let's do one for basketball. A guy that might not necessarily is going super low on, but maybe a guy that you think is a little bit lower on than he should be, or maybe just a contrarian play that you like. Who would be your slate breaker?
Conviction plays. So I have 100% Joe Ingles. So everyone knows. If you want you kind of want weird guys.
Yeah, just guys that maybe you like more than the field.
Steph Curry, I think I like more than the field. That's more of a FanDuel play than a DraftKings play. I think really some of the edge comes at the forward position. I like Bobby Portis, I think, more than other people do going against Chicago. I like Robert Williams. Do you have a Robert Williams percentage?
Let me check.
I like Robert Williams a lot.
Robert Williams, I have. Robert Williams, I have at about 3% on FanDuel and sub 1% on DraftKings.
I don't get it. I mean, he's been getting the minutes recently when the game stays close. He's been producing at a high level. I mean, go back, look at the last 10 games. Throw out, he's got 3 games where he didn't hit value. He's got 3 of the last 9 where he's gotten over 45. Baby game, Robert Williams. I think that's a bit of an edge. Hopefully that works out. And then Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler might be my favorite play on the slate. I think Jimmy Butler. So I have a lot of him. Those are my guys.
Okay, cool. Let me pull up the so Steph's ownership 5% on FanDuel, 2% on DraftKings. I'm assuming you like that.
Steph Curry?
Yeah.
Like the Steph Curry. With no Klay Thompson, with no Draymond Green, with no Andrew Wiggins potentially coming off an embarrassing loss on national TV against the Pacers and a good matchup against Houston, he's 5% owned.
Yep.
Yeah, he's love it. I mean, I have a ton of him. I have 3 out of 5 of them. So
yeah, I figured you would like that. So for me, I do think Korkmaz would be I think he's going to get up there in terms of his ownership, but he's my top value guy of the night now. I think him and Ingles I like as value guys. I would say that Cole Anthony is one of my conviction plays. I think a lot of people are getting to Suggs as a value guy, and for that reason they're not getting to enough of Cole Anthony. But his price has plummeted like $1,000 on FanDuel and DraftKings almost. So he's a guy that I like a ton. Sure, the production has kind of withered away a little bit recently at times, but the minutes were not there really. Like the outside of the last game where he played 32 minutes, he hadn't played 30-plus minutes in the last 3 games. So if he's going to see more minutes like he was early on in the season when we got tons of production, when he was playing 35, 36, 37 minutes, which is kind of what you're hoping for out of him and what you're honestly expecting if the game is played at a normal kind of score, right, where there's no blowouts or anything to consider. I think that's a really easy expectation. So I would say Cole Anthony, who I've at about 14%. So he's not super low owned, but I think he should be higher, especially considering the price decrease. Same goes for LaMelo. I mean, LaMelo Ball against the Thunder, I like him a ton. If you're looking for a low owned spend up option, you like Steph. I like Harden a little bit. I think they're both good options on DraftKings. I like Harden. And Dave likes Harden a little bit as well. Do you prefer Steph on FanDuel, Steph over Harden? But on DraftKings, how would you rank those two where Harden's 11-8 and Steph's 11-1?
I mean, I think Harden probably scores more, but it's no kind of guarantee. Yeah. I like Steph a lot, man. I like Steph. I'm just going to say Steph in this case. They're close enough. You're going to get the ownership benefit. I like Steph. Not to tell you. I mean,
on FanDuel, it's a really good matchup for Steph. It's a really good spot, and the fact that he is 5% or at least I think he'll be sub 10 for sure, but at least around 5. I think he's a really strong play. Houston's 29th in defensive efficiency, 3rd in pace. Let's see if we have any more questions. Is Dwight Howard viable?
I don't have any Dwight Howard, no. And do you think he's viable? I'll tell you why I don't think he's viable, but I don't want to put my foot in my mouth if you made a good point.
Yeah, I'm not going to be playing him.
You can play. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just don't want to. I don't want to punt really a ton at center. Like I think that there's some pretty strong mid-range plays. Like if you wanted to punt at center, then I guess it's fine. But it's not really a position that I'm trying to punt at. Like you can play Giannis or Jokic at center. Then we had mentioned all the mid-range plays, Jaren Jackson, LaMarcus Aldridge. So that's kind of what I'm doing. But if you wanted to punt there and you're okay with it, then that's fine. But other than that, not a ton for me.
Bob Williams, Portis, Bamba, Kelly Olynyk. Yeah. I don't hate that he's going back to Orlando, but I'm not on Dwight Howard tonight. Too big of a slate. I don't think I can do it.
Yeah. Do you think he'll wear a cape in Orlando?
Good question. That's like one of my least favorite dunks of all time. I thought that was like almost as corny as Kyler Murray's thigh pads with Bruce Lee on it in the last playoff game. It's one of my least favorite dunks of all
time. Last man in, Jaylen Brown, Fred VanVleet, or LaMelo? For me, it's LaMelo by a lot.
I think Jaylen Brown's kind of sneaky tonight. I considered playing him. I'm going to fade him. Considered playing him. I think it's a great matchup for Jaylen Brown. Sometimes he pops for like 45. I'll go against you. I'll say Jaylen Brown over LaMelo.
Okay. All right, we got about a minute till lock. So if you guys have any questions, please get those in ASAP so we can get those answered before lock. But if not, anything else you want to touch on before we do hit lock? Any Schroeder love? Dennis Schroeder.
I don't think you have to get there tonight. He'll get good minutes with no Smart. Could do worse. I don't have any, but could do worse.
I pretty much would say the same thing that you did. If you fell on him, I think that's fine. I do have him for about 34, 35 minutes, but I don't think you need to play him by any means. I think that there's I think you actually build a lot of really good balanced lineups tonight with like guys like LaMelo, like John Morant on FanDuel, Steph Curry. Like you don't need to go up top. And there's a lot of guys in that 7 to 9K range that present really solid values with good ceilings. So I would tend to agree with that there. But we have hit lock. Hopefully everyone got their lineups in all right there. And I know we gave away quite a few free Opto trials. So if you guys have any questions on that, please feel free to find me in the Discord. I don't know if you guys got access to the Discord with that free Opto trial. If you didn't, find me on Twitter at KMRDFS. You can ask me any questions. I'm sure David doesn't mind answering some questions as well about the optimizer. We tend to use it quite a bit. And I actually do a free show every Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern time where I talk about ways to use the optimizer and talk about, the slates of the day and all that good stuff. So you can tune into that as well. I believe you guys got it for a month. Is that right, David?
Yeah, it's a 30-day trial we gave away thanks to Brian. And I also want to say, over the next 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, there's 4 NFL showdown slates with good money up top. 3 of them have 100K. I think DraftKings has like a millionaire or 2 that they're running. Like, I'm ready for these. I guarantee I'm going to win at least one of them, and I'm going to put the exact rules that I put in the article. And I've come to understand that some people don't know how to use the rules and use the article and do the things that I'm saying to do in the optimizer. I've come to realize that. And I will try and answer any questions and share screenshots and stuff where I can, where it's appropriate to do so. But if you have questions about how to use that optimizer, hit me up, but do it in the main chat of the NFL Discord so everyone can see it. And also so I don't have to answer it like 10 separate times, because that would be great for me. But the Green Bay showdown is Saturday night. I've won, I think, maybe 80% of every Green Bay showdown I've ever played. All you got to do, I'm hoping it works out again, is read the article, use the rules in the optimizer, try and limit how many teams you're getting, and you should have a pretty good day. I'm really hoping someone else takes down one of these showdowns. If it's not Fantasy Guru Drew, if it's not me, if it's not Kyle, we want some of these subs to win. So come and check out the showdown article. I feel really, really good about this weekend.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe we'll have to get you on the optimal on Friday next week, because we're gonna have some showdown slates next weekend for NFL as well. So maybe if you're free, you can hop on that show as well. But let's talk. If you're cool, let's talk about ownership for what we've gotten. Actually, Jalen Suggs, we'll be here for 2 more minutes. Jalen Suggs 35%, Korkmaz 25%, Cole Anthony 17%, Mo Bamba 13%, Aaron Wiggins 13%, Tobias, LaMelo Ball, Joel Embiid, Franz Wagner, all between 10 and 12%. Any of those guys standing out to you? Or any guys that you played significantly? Bamba was 13, almost 14% on DraftKings.
I have either 20 or 40% Bamba out of 5 lineups. So I think that's the only Magic guy that I have. I didn't play Suggs. I didn't play Cole. I didn't play Franz. All I did was play Bamba, and then I have some Russell Westbrook on the other side. So
cool.
I hope Bamba has a good game.
Yeah, we're hoping that as well. Tyreek says Westbrook 0.87% on DraftKings. That's low, but on DraftKings he was a little bit more expensive. I'm curious to see what he was on FanDuel. But yeah.
0.87. What was his price on DraftKings?
$9K.
Could be worse. All right, let's see. Westbrook. I played him in the qualifier. I got him at 5% in the qualifier. Doesn't feel terrible. So that means 5 people out of 100 played him. If that thing filled, it seems like it didn't. And then what did someone say? And then he's 8. He's 8.1 in the Monster, but he's 7.2.
Yeah,
it's way cheap.
Hey, I mean 8%. Speaking of 8%, P-Buck says he got Embiid 8% on Yahoo. I think that's a pretty good percentage there. His price wasn't too bad on Yahoo either, so don't mind that at all. But all right, that's gonna do it for us, though. Hopefully, you guys all have a great Friday night. Let's see some green screens here at the end. We'll be back tomorrow with some stuff. We have I believe it's a free NFL show. Me and Debra are going to be covering the NFL playoff slate. So tune into that. We will see you guys tomorrow. Good luck tonight. Have a good one.